On lesson 2. Remember, watching this video, you should have that lesson open in the ClassKick file, which is in the same folder as this video in Schoology. So if you were absent today, the first thing I want you to focus on is activity 2.2, corresponding points. You can skip that first activity, 2.1. This activity says, here is a figure and 2 copies, each with some points labeled. And you can see that we have the original, copy 1, and copy 2. Complete this table to show the corresponding parts in the 3 figures. So note that today's learning target is for us to be able to identify those corresponding parts and use them to determine whether or not 2 copies are in fact scaled copies. A corresponding part is the part of the figure that is in the same place in the copy. So let's take a look at an example. Here we see we have point P, and in the original copy we see point P is right here in the corner. So the corresponding point P would be in the same location in copy 1 and the same location in copy 2. So I can go ahead and write in my table that in copy 1, point P is the same thing as point F, and by the same thing I mean corresponding. And in copy 2, point P corresponds to point Z. Now we can do the same thing with line segments. That just means a line or a piece of the shape. For example, we have line LM. It's labeled LM because it starts at L and ends at M. So in copy 1, we see that LM corresponds to BC, and in copy 2, it corresponds to VW. So in our table, we can write segment. I'm going to abbreviate segment SEG, BC, and segment VW. Now notice that I wrote the line in the same order. L to M, B for then C, and V then W. So I want you to go ahead and pause this video, and fill in the rest of the table. Okay, so at this point you should have filled in the rest of the table. I will go back and comment on your work to make sure you did it correctly. One thing that I do want to note specifically is that in the last 2 rows of the table we have angles. We have angle KLM. Angle KLM is going to be the angle that is formed around L, because we see L as the middle number, with K on one side and M on the other. And so it's angle KLM. So in copy 1, the corresponding angle would be ABC, because you can see that B is in between A and C. And in copy 2, that would be angle UVW. Okay, so if you need to pause again to fill in the angle part of the table, go ahead and do so. Otherwise, let's talk about question 2. Question 2 says, is either copy a scaled copy of the original figure? Explain your reasoning. Go ahead and pause this video to answer question 2. Okay, so at this point in the video, you should have answered questions 1 and questions 2. Told me whether or not you thought either figure was a scale copy. You might have noticed that copy 1 is very similar to the original, just smaller. In contrast, copy 2 looks like it's a little bit stretched out. So what we're going to talk about is how to prove it. Question 3 says, use tracing paper to compare angle KLM with its corresponding angles in copy 1 and copy 2. What do you notice? Well, you're not going to be able to use tracing paper online, but you can follow along with the video. So, watch this. If I draw an angle exactly where KLM is. And you can see that I'm just drawing the shape of where KLM meets. And I take that angle that I drew and pick it up and place it right over ABC. That's what it looks like. But if I pick it up and place it over UVW, it looks a little bit different. So go ahead and pause this video and answer question 3. What do you notice? If we wanted to, we could do the exact same thing with question 4, but we're going to skip that part for now and just focus on what happened with KLM. When we compared angle KLM to angle UVW, you might have noticed that the shape of the angle didn't fit. I'll go ahead and copy that so I can paste it back in KLM. It did fit in angle ABC. So in question 2, you might have guessed that copy 1 was a scale copy and copy 2 was not. But the reason why is because angle KLM does not match UVW. And we can write the little angle sign in front of those letters so we know we're talking about angles. So copy 1 is a scale copy, and copy 2 is not a scale copy, because the angles in the original and copy 1 are the same, but the angles in the original and copy 2 are different.